Hello and welcome to another episode of Hitting the Field. I'm your host Eric Scott, and alongside with me here on set is Joshua Thicklin and Daniel Bird. The first week of March Madness brought a lot of crazy upsets, guys, and I'm going to get right away. We'll look at yesterday. Texas A&M, the comeback, down by 12 with 44 seconds to go against UNI. Josh, how do they make that crazy comeback?
I honestly, like watching it, it was tough to watch. It was like watching a ship going down and nothing you could do. There's no lifeboats, no nothing. It was the greatest collapse in probably college basketball history. For some reason, UNI forgot how to work out of a press. Texas A&M took every opportunity they could possibly made every right play they can make.
Yeah.
And this was, UNI defeated themselves. They had the game won. They were looking at a Sweet 16 berth, and they let it go. We saw careless plays, not so bright decisions, and Texas. But let's not take credit away from Texas A&M. They were relentless. They attacked the rim. They didn't only rely on the three ball, and they made sure the time management was excellent on their behalf. So when you have that, and I'm not even stepping into the other overtimes, right there is the founding, and that's the end all be all of the game. If you're Northern Iowa, there's no way that that should ever happen. I think that they got rattled, and they tried to do too much, and that caused them to fall off. Plain and simple. It's kind of sad. They were the darlings this Saturday night, Friday night.
You are 30 seconds away from taking this thing to the Sweet 16. But like you said, you got to credit A&M, though, because, you hit 2 threes in the final 15 seconds. If you don't hit those threes, it doesn't matter. You don't win the game. And the press, you have to play the press correctly. You have to force the turnovers, and they did that. I think not having any timeouts for either team really helped Texas A&M coming down the stretch. There was no way for UNI to stop and just deal with the pressure. And like you said, I think it's heartbreaking because I think everyone wanted to see UNI. I think they were the darlings of this tournament probably, along with Steve Van Vossen, who lost the heartbreaker as well. And I just think it's disappointing for them.
Well, we're forgetting about one team, Middle Tennessee, and the upset they were able to get against Michigan State. They eventually lost now to Syracuse. And listen, Syracuse sitting as a 10 seed, that bottom of that bracket, we look at Utah now out. We look at Michigan State now out. Favorites are dropping here and there. Number 1 seeds are still alive. We look at Oregon, able to come up from behind yesterday and get a late win. UNC is taking care of business as of now, and the number 1 overall seed, the Kansas Jayhawks, look like the number 1 seed in the tournament. Absolutely. So what are the expectations for these 1 seeds? Who do you guys believe is going to be still the number 1 seed that gets knocked off first?
I still believe, after watching Virginia play, that Virginia's going to be the first 1 seed that goes out. You barely squeaked by Butler, and now you have to go up against a couple more teams. Like you said, that region, I don't know who's making it out of that region. I honestly don't. And if you look at the other 1 seeds, Oregon did have a little trouble with St. Joe's, but they handled adversity way better than what I expected them to. And that gives me confidence in Oregon going forward. You look at Kansas, they might be the best looking team along with Villanova, those two, in this tournament. They have had 0 struggles in either of their games so far, and I think they can handle Maryland coming up in their next game. And then you look at North Carolina, again, handled Providence, who I thought might give them problems. I think they cruise right through there as well. So I think if you're looking at the top 4 seeds, I think Virginia by far is the one that might face some struggles coming up.
For me, I think it's definitely still Oregon. I think Oregon, from the gate, they seem to be the weakest 1 seed, and a lot of them thought that Michigan State should have had their spot. But looking at Oregon, there's still some spots that I feel like against some they're heading into the Sweet 16. Against some really top competition that's already battle tested, they're going to have some problems. But to me, the number 1 seed that looks the most impressive so far I think it's still the overall favorite in Kansas. I think Kansas still looks like a number 1 seed, and I said the South region I feel is the toughest. But now when we're starting to look at this, now Kentucky's out, and we have a lot of it's more wide open. I think Kansas with Perry Ellis definitely will shine. This is what we're already seeing some individuals in this tournament shine. And when thinking of individuals like that, I have to think about Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield definitely, last night, the best individual performance we've seen, 36 points, and basically putting the Oklahoma Sooner team on his back. He has right now, Buddy Hield has the first most 30-point games out of anyone in Big 12 history. That includes, and the number 2 is Michael Beasley, and the number 3 is Kevin Durant.
Right. Pretty good list, right?
And it's a great list to be on. I think individual performances are going to take precedent when we head into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think it's impressive too, though, that Hield did most of his damage last night in the second half. When it counts, crunch time, he had to step up because VCU is no slouch. And I thought they might clip him at the end there. But like you said, Hield was able to kind of not blow the game open, but kind of do enough to get through. I think that's going to be huge heading forward for Oklahoma, because if he doesn't move or play well, then they're in trouble.
I think it's important to look at the East region, and we look at UNC. Roy Williams, Marcus Page and company, they've been able to take care of business. They beat FGCU, which many people said could have been an upset for that first time in the 1-16 game. Now they're going to face an Indiana team. Now they're sitting in that 5th seat. Kentucky's out. And Indiana, they're looking to get to the Final Four. And you look at the bottom of that bracket, the Wisconsin Badgers just knocked off Xavier last night. So there's a couple teams, most experienced teams that have been there before. Does UNC have the most pressure to get to that Final Four?
I don't know if I'd say the most pressure. I think Kansas, number one overall, would have the most pressure. And I think going up against an Indiana team, I think a lot of people think Indiana can take it to UNC. So I wouldn't say UNC's under the most pressure. I do feel like, though, they do have the toughest challenge in the Sweet 16, because Yogi Ferrell and company played extremely well against Kentucky. Did have a couple issues I think they need to work out offensively, but I think they can give UNC a run for their money. And I think I have in my bracket, which shredded by now, I have UNC getting past them, but I think it's going to be a close game. Probably one of the best Sweet 16 matchups we have.
Josh, I want to talk about Gonzaga. They beat Seton Hall, and then they beat Utah cleanly, over by 20 points. And we look at, they're going to face a Syracuse team with Jim Boeheim. They're a different team, and many people argued that coming into the tournament. They barely snuck in. I was one of the people who didn't believe they deserved to be in the tournament. They proved me wrong. Now in the Sweet 16, that's an interesting matchup, looking at the 11th seed versus the 10th seed in a Sweet 16. Those two teams could potentially be in the Final Four. They're going to face possibly an Oregon side that will challenge them. But how much credit do you give to this Gonzaga team to be able to win the first 2 games?
I think Gonzaga was a sleeping giant that everyone knew was coming.
Right.
It's different from they weren't a Middle Tennessee that no one expected. They weren't a Little Rock, Arkansas, Little Rock. Gonzaga is a battle tested in a program that people, they expect great things from. Their offense so far in this tournament has been nothing short of exemplary. But I think Gonzaga heading against Syracuse, I think Gonzaga is more battle tested, but Syracuse style play is, especially their zone, I think is going to stifle them. And I think Syracuse can definitely make the run and make that push to the Elite Eight.
Just real quick, I think it's really interesting how Gonzaga is used to being a 1 seed, a top seed, and I think the pressure's off them. And I think they're performing at their best. Mark Few and company, I think they can finally play free. I think Kyle Wilcher and them, I had them in the Sweet 16. Right. I think they can now really do some damage.
All 4 seeds still remain in the NCAA March Madness tournament. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to look forward to the MLB and expectations for the 2016 season. Stay with us.
DC Comics brand new superhero collection. Oh no! Central City is under attack from Captain Cold. Luckily, the Flash is here to stop him. Captain Cold is no match for the Flash. The Green Arrow needs the Flash's help. The evil Deathstroke is trying to take over the city. The Green Arrow and Black Canary are here to stop him. Deathstroke is too strong to beat alone. With teamwork, they can defeat Deathstroke once and for all. Our heroes have saved the city. DC Comics Superhero Collection. Each figure sold separately.
Tonight on Deals After Dark. When I think of quality sunglasses, I think of boldness, but simplicity. And nothing provides both of those more than this set. Tonight, we have a pair of beautiful used matte black Oakley Holbrook sunglasses. These glasses offer an American frame accented with metal rivets and Oakley icons, perfect for buyers seeking performance and style. And do we have a deal for you guys tonight? For the next 40 seconds, that's right, 40 seconds, you have a chance to get your hands on this exclusive featured price of $110 or best offer. This deal, usually only available on Craigslist, could be yours for the 8 super easy payments of $13.75. Wow, I'm now hearing that we've actually gone down to 1 single pair. So if you're interested in this deal or any other products from our program, you can always log on to dealsafterdark.com or call us at 1-800-555-DEAL.
We are back on Hitting the Field. Rachel White now joins us. Guys, the MLB season is upon us, and all 30 teams believe they really can win the pennant. We're going to start with the Kansas City Royals, a team that's been to the back-to-back World Series. and they've done it all by small ball, getting on base, stealing bases, getting hits when it matters, winning games 3-2, 4-3, whatever have you. Can this success work for the Kansas City Royals moving forward? Is this year going to be another repeat? Are they going to be back in the World Series?
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it seems weird to say, but even though they just won the World Series, I feel like there's actually a lot less pressure on them this season. They had a really long drought, obviously, until they won that one last year. And, they'd lost in the World Series the previous year. They're bringing back almost all their pieces. They still got Lorenzo Cain, they've got Eric Hosmer, they've got all the same players, and yet a lot of people are saying they're not going to be that good this year. So in a way, the pressure's off. They can sort of fly under the radar a little bit. And they still have those same pieces. Their division really isn't that great. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they had another successful year in Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree. I think, in baseball, the season is so long. If they do get off to a slow start, I don't think there's going to be added pressure like there is in the NFL, say if you're the defending Super Bowl champion. I think that they can get into their rhythm a little bit if they do start out slow. Then they might not even start out slow. And again, baseball, you play 162 games to play a couple series at the end, and it's pretty much just who's hot at that time. So I don't think there's any pressure on them at all. And I do think Kansas City can, pose another threat. 3 years, 3 years in the World Series would be a huge feat. And I think there's a very good shot of them getting there.
Right, when we talk about small ball, we talk about hits, but we have to look at the pitching. Their bullpen, #1 in the league. That's been the most effective. Teams are now trying to respond to that. Let's move over to AL East. It's filled with talent. The Rays might have the best pitching rotation in the league. Joey Bats and Toronto Blue Jays are filled with offense. The Red Sox are looking to send off Big Papi with style. And then the New York Yankees, you can't forget them. They're always supposed to contend. So we look at this, and I didn't even mention the Baltimore Orioles. The AL East is so packed. Expectations for the 2016, Daniel, I'll start with you.
I like the Blue Jays. I think Joey Bats, like you said, I think just his offensive production alone will win you enough games to get into the playoffs. And again, coming out of that division, you only get one division winner. Right. That's going to be the huge key, I think, is winning your division. Because there are all other good teams, in the AL that can steal a wild card away from them. Right. But again, say I have the Blue Jays win the division, but I do think a team like New York or Tampa Bay or Baltimore can steal a wild card spot. And honestly, it's a pick-em between those three. I don't think the Red Sox have enough, both, in the lineup and also in their pitching staff to get it done this year, even though it's Big Papi's last year. And he himself is a good offensive product, but I don't think there's enough.
No,
but
it's interesting.
It's
interesting that you note that, Rachel. Pablo Sandoval, he's gained some weight, and Red Sox fans and some critics are worried about that. How effective can he be defensively when they got Big Papi hitting at the DH spot? This is going to be his last year. How high of expectations can they have for Big Papi? They look at Pablo Sandoval. They're looking for him to have a similar year like he did in San Francisco. So for the Red Sox, are the expectations low?
I think the Red Sox are right to be concerned about Sandoval. Anytime you come in out of shape like that, it shows sort of a lack of concern with what's going on. And, now he's playing for the Red Sox. They generally have high expectations. They're obviously in Big Papi's last season, but I just don't know that they have those same pieces like the other teams do. And it's going to be a really tough year. And if they can't have those main players for them really playing at the top of their game, then they're going to be in trouble.
And this isn't like Yasiel Puig kind of coming in looking a little puffy or something like he did last offseason. This is a man who is already big. Right. If you come in even further overweight, you're going to have some work to do. Again, playing third base for him, the DH spot is taken. Yeah. So there's some problems there already, and the season hasn't even started for Boston.
And we have to move over to the NL West and look at the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Listen, they lose Zach Greinke. Clayton Kershaw's still there. And now you kind of look at that one-on-one matchup between Bumgarner and Clayton Kershaw. Expectations for the Dodgers this year, they have not been able to get it done. They have not been able to get to that World Series and contend for a championship. Daniel, now losing Zach Greinke, what are expectations for the Dodgers?
I don't think you can make expectations any higher than they were last year. You go out to the Mets in the playoffs, and you had the same exact roster minus Zach Greinke. So are we going to have higher expectations this year for them? I don't think so. I think they can score runs, they'll be able to. But again, when you have Kershaw, you're going to get double-digit wins from him. That's a given. But when you have Scott Kazmir behind him and then Ryu as your third pitcher, that's a decent top three, but you need 4 or 5 pitchers really to get the W's that you need to make an impact once you get to the playoffs. And I don't think they have that. So I think pitching holds the Dodgers back yet again.
And for the Giants, Rachel?
The Giants tried to step up their pitching this offseason. They got Cueto. So I think that they're trying to, have a second guy behind Bumgarner, which is what the Dodgers now don't have without Greinke. So I think pitching is going to be really important in that division, and hopefully the Dodgers can figure out a way to get it done because they've certainly been lacking in that area lately.
It certainly will be interesting to see which teams will contend for the World Series this year. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, Troy Kless and Ben Sanders will join me to talk about the Champions League draw.
Experience, the sea, art, lifestyle, travel. This is Seek to See More.
We are back on Hitting the Field. Ben Sanders and Troy Class now join me on set, and we're talking Champions League. Guys, the draw is looking really good right now. PSG versus Man City. That's a compelling storyline. And we also look at Barcelona Atletico Madrid, a matchup that Barcelona is finally going to get tested in this year's Champions League. But I want to touch first on domestic play. Yesterday, Man City and Manchester United played in a game that was important for the fourth spot, which could end up impacting the Champions League next year. Troy, I want a quick comment. Man City, are they in trouble in domestic play?
I think they are, honestly. You know, they have, sitting in fourth place right now, they have West Ham, who's right hot on their tails right now, only 1 point behind them, and they're kind of drifting out behind Arsenal. So they're really going to have to pick it up if they want to be in the Champions League next year because, we don't really see them getting past PSG. I mean, right now, they just have too much firepower through Ibrahimovic, Cavani, Di Maria as well. They need to focus on domestic play, I think, if they want to stay in the Champions League next year and give Pep Guardiola another trophy to win.
Ben, do Man City get out of the Premier League in the top four?
That's a really good question. Without Vincent Kompany back there, their back line is completely shambolic. An 18-year-old took him to the cleaners so badly. All game, Marcus Rashford took him to the cleaners. So how are they going to do that in the Champions League against Zlatan? So they've got to focus on the Premier League, or they're going to be playing Europa League football on the Thursday nights. And who's going to want to go to a team like that, even with Pep Guardiola in charge?
Right, so let's talk about this French side in PSG. A lot of firepower. Di Maria has fit perfectly in with this French side. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is expected to step up at the biggest stage in soccer. And we'll look at this match at Man City. Listen, Sergio Aguero could be the calling for Man City. He is always there to save the day for them. What are your expectations for this side?
Well, like you said, I think it's mostly the midfield that has to do their job of feeding Sergio Aguero if they want to, have any chance of beating PSG. We saw on the weekend against Manchester United, the cross from Yaya Toure out wide and Aguero hit the post, unfortunately. But, you have to have more fluidity there in the midfield through guys like Yaya Toure if they want to, give Aguero a chance because, outside of him, you're not going to have many goal scorers unless the midfield is pressing really high, which is going to be difficult for them, especially against such a tough back line. With Thiago Silva and David Luiz there, they are solid like almost every game in and out of the French League and in the Champions League. One of the toughest defenses, only conceded 3 goals throughout this campaign in the Champions League. So it's going to be tough for Man City to break them down.
Yeah, my problem with Man City is that their backline is just, at the moment, Martin Demichelis and equally Mangala, they're terrible. For a team like that, they should not be playing for a team like that. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is going to be licking his chops. And then the fullbacks, they get up and attack really well, but they get left so exposed, and with Di Maria and Verratti and Lucas Moura all charging the wings into that space, all they have to do is provide just the tiniest little bit of quality, and Zlatan's going to be on the end of it with his head or his foot. The guy scores off his bottom if he, because he's that good. So, Man City are in real trouble.
Yeah, especially with Joe Hart out. Like, that was a again, kind of Martin DiMichelis' fault in a way, providing a sloppy back pass and Hart getting injured. So they're going to test Willy Caballero.
Quickly, I want to get to Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. Listen, the last time that Barcelona got knocked out of the Champions League, it was against this Atletico Madrid side. And what we've come to understand is this Atletico side presses for 90 minutes, are able to defend, and then get teams on the counter-attack. Troy, I know you're a fan of the Barcelona. Will they be able to stop Atletico Madrid?
I think they will, honestly. Like you said, it's going to be a tough game. You know, one of the toughest sides that Barcelona has faced throughout this Champions League. But again, you have Messi, Suarez, and Neymar. I think that's the bottom line right there. You know, I see them winning this tie. It will be tough, especially going into the Calderon. You know, Atletico, they might be able to get a goal or maybe two, but again, Barcelona just too much attacking prowess.
Ben, I want you to offer the silver lining to this. How can Atletico beat Barcelona?
Atletico, they can. They're strong defensively. They're physical. They're on the whole, they're a stronger team, physically stronger. Basically, a game with those two teams, it's a fight and a soccer game breaks out. So as long as Atleti can keep their 11 men on the pitch, Antoine Griezmann's got enough quality to score up top. They give him the service. Diego Godin is good enough.
He still has to deal with Gerard Piqué and Javier Mascherano, one of the strongest defenses again in the Champions League.
Atletico Madrid, they do have a shot. They have a genuine shot to win this.
Both teams are expected to get out of the side, and Bayern Munich barely survived their last tie against Juventus. It will be interesting to see if both Bayern Munich and Real can make it look easy in their matchups. When we come back, we're going to talk the state of the NBA. Stay with us.
Central Florida is the perfect place to study, earn a degree, and of course, to enjoy everything that Central Florida has to offer.
From theme parks to dinner shows and, of course, the movies, Orlando offers many unique and exciting activities to do. However, we all know that a ticket to any of these attractions can be expensive, especially on a college student budget.
UCF Student Government Association has the nights covered with the SGA Ticket Center.
Located at the heart of campus inside Student Union, SGA Ticket Center offers tickets at a special discounted price to UCF students, faculty, and staff.
Not only do they have discounted tickets for theme parks, but they also have discounted tickets for other attractions like Blue Man Group, Pirates Dinner Adventure, and Kennedy Space Center.
Save your money and experience all Orlando has to offer.
For more information, you can visit their website.
Dangerous driving extends beyond just speeding, especially in the rain where light usage can be the most dangerous thing you do. This high-performance sports car might be able to handle tight corners in the rain, but if the driver can't see drivers around him, it just doesn't matter. Driving with your hazard lights on is illegal in the state of Florida, regardless of weather conditions. Hazard lights are only to be used while stopped on the side of the road. It makes it easier for emergency services to distinguish cars stopped on the shoulder. Not driving with your hazards on also makes turn signals clearly visible, along with brake lights. Increasing the visibility of your car in the rain will make your trips infinitely safer. And of course, remember that speed is the most important thing you can control while driving in severe weather. Speed and low grip are a deadly combination at any level of driver skill. For more information, visit your local Florida Department of Transportation office or the website shown below. Control the roads and enjoy the journey.
We are back at Hitting the Field. Justin Garfield and Carl Maximilian are now join me. Guys, the state of the NBA. Golden State Warriors and San Antonio Spurs just had a game this past weekend, and Golden State now have 7 losses on the year. We look at a game where they only scored 79 points in the entire game after scoring 81 points in a half against the Portland Trail Blazers. Justin, I'm going to start with you. What were the Spurs able to do defensively to stop Golden State?
Well, Steph Curry, number one, didn't have the best night because he was being double teamed and just had man-on-man coverage on him every single possession, which really got into his head and into his shooting form to where he didn't shoot very well. And when he doesn't shoot well, the team doesn't function properly. The Spurs can really outsmart anybody, even though they can be outplayed certain places. And that one place where they can't be outplayed is right there in San Antonio. They're still undefeated on the season, and that's going to be a really intriguing matchup. They have one more time they meet in San Antonio and one more time in Golden State. It's really going to come down to the stretch who's going to get that number 1 seed.
And Carl, we look at Klay Thompson and Steph Curry specifically, 11 of 38 from the field. And I want to get your comments. The Spurs are able to hold them to 79 points. Tim Duncan only plays 8 minutes, and I know that the Warriors are without Andrew Bogut and Andre Iguodala. Does this give Spurs hope in a 7-game series to beat the Warriors?
I believe so. They know that they can play with them, especially at home. So if they play them in a 7-game series, it's going to come to that final game in 7. So will Golden State trump them at home, or will San Antonio get that road win? San Antonio is the number 1 defensive team in the NBA, and they showed that prowess against Golden State. This was a mind-boggling stat for me. This was Steph Curry's first game this season where he had a negative PER, and the third game in 3 years where he's had a negative PER. So Steph Curry's been on the ball for the last 3 years, and San Antonio was able to disrupt him. When he's running off his screens, you would see Boris Diaw or even LaMarcus Aldridge, big men, come out on the wing, disrupt them with their length. You need length against this team. You can disrupt them off the screens, running around them with your big man on the wings with length. So Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, Boris Diaw, even though Tim Duncan only played 8 minutes, his 8 minutes were productive. So if you want to stop the Splash Brothers, you got to get up in their face and play physical. Will the refs allow that in the playoffs? That's to be determined.
And I love that you mentioned LaMarcus Aldridge because as much as of a big acquisition he was made for the Spurs, he's the X factor in this series. And that January 26th game, he only put up 5 points. He comes back with 26 and 13 in this game. How important is he going to be for the Spurs' success, Justin?
Like you said, he's the X factor. He could be that guy who just comes off the bench and scores a double-double. He may be starting now, but the Spurs, they like to limit each other's minutes and make sure everybody's got that equal playing time. And having LaMarcus Aldridge in there is just another leader, another voice in the locker room, and just a genuine guy who could be like, look, guys, we always have a shot in every single game. Let's just play to our max, play like a team, and we can do whatever we want.
Quickly, I want to get your guys' comments on the Western and Eastern Conference playoffs as we get closer. Justin, I'm going to start with you. Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, in that state of Texas, which one of those teams can challenge Golden State in that 1-8 game?
Could I go with neither? Because Golden State is not going to lose the first round, but I will say
yes, you can.
The Mavericks have a chip on their shoulder from the 2007 series against the Warriors when they were upset as the 1 seed and the Warriors were the 8th. So if it does come down to that, look for the Mavericks to play aggressive, but maybe taking them to 7 games, we'll see. But yeah, just keep a lookout on that.
And then, Carl, we look at the Eastern Conference. I want to get away from the Cavs and the Raptors and even Miami maybe. Which one other team in the Eastern Conference that could maybe potentially get out of the East?
I really like Boston. Boston with Brad Stevens and that young core, they really are he's really pushing that young team to get to the 3rd seed. And with no big superstar, everyone's just a role player. They have Isaiah Thomas, who was an all-star. But Brad Stevens, his 2nd year in the NBA coming from college, he's really put that young nucleus together and has gotten the most out of every game for them. So I expect Boston to make a little bit of noise, go to the 2nd round, challenge whoever they play in the 2nd round, whether it be Toronto or Cleveland. And then next year, who knows, with free agency, who might they get as a superstar, but definitely Boston, I see them as a dark horse.
Guys, I'm going to put you on the spot quickly. Who do you have winning the NBA Finals?
You know what? After Saturday, I was hesitant, but now I'm going to say the San Antonio Spurs.
Really? And coming out of the East, you have the Cavs facing the Warriors in the Finals?
I still have the Cavs coming out. Toronto might take them for the #1 seed at the end of the regular season, but LeBron is too strong, and I think they're going to win it all.
That is all the time we have on Hitting the Field today. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page and follow us on Facebook. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.